Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we explore the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe 1 minute at a time. In this, our 5th season, we are looking at Joe Johnston's 2011 film, Captain America, The First Avenger. I'm Andy Nelson from True Story FM.
I'm Pete Wright. Congratulations, soldier.
Today we are talking about Minute 18, which begins with a 1A stamp that Steve has been dreaming of, and it ends with a familiar snake. Joining us on the show today and all week, it's Will Johnson and Don Shanahan from the Cinephile Hissy Fit Podcast. Hello again, gents.
Hi. How are you?
Did you just salute on a podcast?
Wow, face for radio, guys.
Well, you said people could watch this, so I gave that for those people.
Oh,
Okay.
That's why you put pants on today. I see. Okay.
I'm wearing a shirt. I just podcast naked most of the time.
Yeah. It's hot in Phoenix, y'all.
It is 109 right now.
Oh,
I
my
don't care
goodness.
for it.
Yeah. It's like 78 here.
Oh, jeez.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat here, so we've got that going for us.
Well, not right.
Oh,
I got
those things
62
make
in rain,
pizzas, too.
boys. 62 in rain.
All right, so we are starting this off. We actually find out where Steve is from. Is Brooklyn, as he finally tells the truth when it comes to being enlisted. Maybe that was the test all along, was just will he finally admit to where he's really from? Maybe that's this whole test that Erskine had. Can I actually
Is there a lot of
find out where
Brooklyn
he's from?
shame? Like, oh, God, guys, I'm
know.
from Brooklyn.
He hasn't, well, we know so far, he has not, of the ones that we know about, he has not put Brooklyn on his forms. So.
Yeah. Because if we wait 4 years, you could bag Saoirse Ronan if you're from Brooklyn. Come on.
There's that. There is that
Yeah.
too. It's that Brooklyn movie, you know.
The Brooklyn movie, yeah.
But this is what Steve has been waiting for. He finally gets the stamp. Alan Silvestri tells us it's a big moment.
Mhm.
We see the 1A stamp. It's a great moment, right?
It is. We were talking about when we were watching it together just now. We were talking about that same thing: small moves, small gestures. That sigh, and that look from the 4 actors that play, or the 4 moments that play Chris. It's really solid.
Yeah, I was wondering because I know like sometimes it is kind of just the facial replacement and they go through all these different things. But like this is one of those moments I was watching. I was like, is this a Leander sigh? Like, is Leander doing that great sigh and then it's just kind of Chris's head? Or is it kind of like the shrunken down Chris? What are we getting there? I don't know what it is, but it comes across just perfectly.
I have this image of Chris and Leander Deeny reenacting that classic Blade Runner Rutger Hauer scene. If only you could see what I've seen through your eyes. Like that's the kind of stuff I get out of this.
That's a dark place to go.
Yeah, that's where I go. Yeah. I also have this thing where maybe just now, and it's probably Will's fault for retconning the way I think
Everything
about
is.
Captain America.
There we go.
That wouldn't it be crazy if in some future movie they reveal that Steve Rogers was actually talented Mr. Ripleying his way through the whole thing, and none of his story checks out. He's not from Brooklyn. He's from Kansas City, and he's just been lying the whole time. It's a huge grift, a con. I tell you.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, I think going minute through these movies is starting to hurt you a little bit.
He's got a few to go.
I'm worried about where we're going to end up in a few more movies down the road. Pete might crack.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a couple of movies coming where there's some minutes where I'm like, oh boy, this could break a purse.
Right. So this is a very short little piece here that we have. It's a great little moment. Do we want to say anything else about this, or should we move on?
We mentioned it briefly earlier. Just production design, real sharp. In just the yellowed kind of jaundiced kind of Norman Rockwell tint of it, almost a sepia tone to the lighting there. That obviously we're going to get a tonal switch as we're already starting to get to the cold and the gray that comes with the German side coming up next, where the cinematographers work in the light, and I dig it.
Yeah, I've spent more time in the recruitment center the last couple hours than
let the record show.
Ready to move on.
All right. Well, we are taking a shift in the story here. We're going to the mountains in the Austrian Alps. That's the fantastic MCU locations guide. We've had Jay Shepard from that site on the show in the past. He has pinned down where this takes place roughly. It is in the Alps, based on maps that you'll find out that the Allies hold later on. But yes, we are up in the mountains in Austria right now. And, it's beautiful Alps. This is definitely not like any sort of place you'd want to go skiing or anything. This is like insanely hazardous sort of mountain ranges. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful vista. I have a feeling it's probably maybe some stock imagery blended with some CGI to kind of create this, particularly this big cliff wall we have in front of us with this massive, massive window in the side of it. Thoughts as we come upon this window in the wall in the Austrian Alps?
I'll kind of tip my hat to Silvestri, masterful scene change of mood and music, to kind of hit that stinger of we're going to a different place now, and he nails it.
He's perfect. The only thing that I really want to say about this window and this giant cliff wall, this is exactly what you get in villain lairs, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
These
are on Zillow, right? We could get those.
Yeah,
very comic book.
This is actually just like A New Hope. They actually left this lair in the Alps. Like you can go find it. They left.
Yeah, like Tunisia with the.
Yeah, it's like Tunisia.
Good reference. I like that.
It does have kind of like this James Bondy sort of feel. Like there's this element of like this impossible location for villains to have set up, and it's kind of fun. And I didn't point out, we do actually see a figure standing in the window, so you can get a sense of it. And of course, it is a return to a character that we saw a few minutes ago in film time, about a year and a half ago in story time. That is, of course, Schmidt. He's staring out the window, and he turns. We are now inside it's called Schmidt's office lab. That's where we are. And we have Hugo Weaving again as Schmidt, talking to Toby Jones as Dr. Arnim Zola. Toby Jones, gentlemen. Let's before we jump into kind of getting into all of this, I want to do the IMDb game with all of you for Toby Jones, as we love to do with our actors when they first pop up. Toby Jones has been in many, many films, and this is his break into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Fantastic actor. The IMDb game is, of course, looking at the 4 films that the Internet Movie Database says this particular actor is known for. And I'd love to find out from the 4 of you, what would you say are the 4 films that IMDb says he is known for?
His top 4? Without Marvel?
It may or may not be. I'm not going to say.
Oh, well, then that's easy. It's this one.
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, this one, his Capote film, and probably...
His Capote film?
Yeah, he did a Capote.
No, I know, but as
what's the title of it? I couldn't tell you.
No, as I was going to talk about Toby Jones in a minute, I think people forget he was in the Capote film, but yeah. I
think those are, his 4th one would be anher cutesy
Hitchcock one he did? I don't know.
Whichcock?
Hitchcock.
Oh, sorry.
It's Whichcock.
PG show, guys. Okay.
That's my personal superhero, by the way, Whichcock. I love it. You don't even want to
my
know
license plate next month. Yep.
You don't want to know what the powers are.
Yeah, I don't want to ask about that one.
I like that pick of Hitchcock, though. Yeah, those 4.
Okay, I just have one that I want to throw into the mix because I honestly I don't know. It's one of those where I know once I see it, I know exactly what we're talking about. But the one that we just did on the show not long ago that it turns out I really love is The Mist. And I'm saying that because I know he was in it and because it's fresh. So that's the only one I offer for your consideration. The rest are a toss-up for me.
Go with that.
So a Capote film, which is In Cold Blood, right?
It's called Infamous. In Cold Blood was actually what Capote wrote, but Infamous was his movie, yeah.
I'm going to say Infamous, 2 Cat films, and I'll still put... Do you want to put The Mist over Hitchcock, Will?
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Then The Mist, yeah.
The Hitchcock one was, I believe, The Girl, right? Is that the one? The TV movie that he did about making the birds?
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
That's I'll get into my Toby.
I will tell you there are no TV movies on here, so you can take that one.
Okay. I'll lock my 4 in.
Big franchises he's been in because he's been in some stuff.
It's an interesting. Let me tell you what they are. You got 2. He was in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. He played Percy Alaline.
Dang it.
In that one.
Oh, man, totally.
That's a clear one, yeah.
That's a good one. Another franchise that he was in was The Hunger Games. He played Claudius Templesmith in
I was
Hunger
this
Games.
close.
Okay.
Those two
have ever come back around to that.
Yeah, and then Captain America: The First Avenger and The Mist. So good job pulling that one, Pete.
Not Winter Soldier. Okay,
not Winter Soldier. I know that's the one that you think
fanboys of IMDb. Yeah,
it's always curious what the IMDb algorithm ends up saying a person is going for. So
okay.
All right, but let's talk about this character. So we're meeting Zola. What I love about it is we meet him as a face on a screen. And I think that's
totally
a perfect way.
That's what I wanted to talk about, because that's kind of the brilliance of the MCU too, is even though they never take themselves too seriously, because you do have talking trees and gods with capes and stuff, they know how far to push it. And I like that they give a little shout out to the comic, which obviously the character in the comics is an insane thing to put in a movie, because it's the face is on the chest, and then it's got like a little mini robot head, and it's just something that you can't do. But it's like a nice little shout out to the Jack Kirby design of this green face kind of trapped in this little shell, letting you know, like, okay, comic guys, here's Zola for you, and then introducing the character, and then they one up it in Winter Soldier by making it kind of having that cool computer program thing. I love that little nod to the comics, and and
that's a great point, because there are times where they kind of play around with switching a character up that work better than others. Like sometimes they do that and people are like, oh, I really don't like how they changed that character. But that's interesting, because I mean the way that they kind of did that here, I do think it works. It's pretty effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this movie in general does that, because I think a lot of people, when they think of a lot of superheroes, they're like, how are they going to translate this? You could go the full, complete redesign approach that Bryan Singer did with X-Men, just make them all wear leather, or you can try to find ways to modify the stuff. And not only do they do that with Zola here in a mini thing, but they also do it with Captain America when he's selling war bonds. That he has the goofy boots on and the webbed body armor, and the goofy wings on his, like, it's almost like giving respect to the comics, but making it part of the narrative too, like kind of and saying like, yeah, we can make this a little bit more realistic and more movie-like, when we're serious, as opposed to, because Arnim Zola is one of those Marvel characters that's just, inconceivable to see it on screen. I mean, wouldn't make sense at all.
Well, especially at this point in time, right? I mean, we had, like, I feel like post Guardians of the Galaxy, sure, if they wanted to go and like all of a sudden kind of go that route and kind of create that crazy version of the character, it might be a little easier to buy into. But at this point in time, like Thor was already a stretch for people to kind of go into the cosmic realm, and now we're going back to the 40s to kind of like introduce something crazy like that. It might have been kind of like the end of the attempt at creating this franchise.
It's a cute little nod to the comics, moving on, and getting the character set up, and great. I love Toby Jones, and I always feel bad for him, because he always gets cast in roles that really fit him really well physically and acting wise. And then it seems like a lot of them always get upstaged by a bigger actor in a bigger movie, like first Capote and Hitchcock. When he made those movies, there was a bigger production. Phyllis Seymour Hoffman won an Oscar for playing Capote, and Toby Jones was playing Capote. And then, Anthony Hopkins played Hitchcock in a movie that came out at the same time that he played Hitchcock. It just always seems like he's getting a little put in the rearview mirror a little bit, but he's actually really reliable, great character actor.
Yeah, and for me, since we've been talking about accents here and there with these character introductions we've been getting, he's another one of those ethnic chameleon kind of guys where he's as British can be, but here he is twisting a German accent ever so perfectly to kind of wither within that man as being a subordinate, and it works.
I feel like I see him playing accented people more often than I ever see him playing British. Like, I'm trying to think.
I know, same.
Like the last time I saw him in a British performance, I know I have. I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Well, now it's Tinker Tailor.
Well, yeah, there you go. True. Very true.
Well, even with Chris, Chris does his best to hide his Bostonian broness, with that lower register for New York toughness. It works in these movies.
Yeah. In a movie full of big accents.
Yeah.
He's doing a good job of just toning it down.
Yeah.
This is, I talked about this a little bit in the last minute with Erskine kind of being like the good version of a mad scientist. Here we have a guy who, we see him on this, I don't know, a funky, I'm not sure what he's doing here. We're on like a round kind of magnified monitor of some sort that he's looking into. And then we pan over to him and it looks like a telescopic, I don't know what it is, but that's where he's kind of pulling his information, or we're pulling his image from. But it seems like a secret lab. Like he seems like this mad scientist fiddling with gears. How does he read in this minute to all of you?
I've been talking about motives this week with you guys where, I think it comes into play more in the next minute than this one, but I think he's in it for the science. I think he really wants to design these amazing, awesome weapons that put him on the map for either favor with the Nazi party and favor with Schmidt, or just, or for the science of making something truly amazing. I see him as that. That's his motive isn't as mythologically based as Schmidt's or as, deadly and serious as the Nazi cause itself. I think he's there for the science.
I think the real question is, how close is he on the spectrum of science for good, science for evil to Erskine? Right? That actually, like, were it not for the flap of a butterfly's wing in Queens, could it have been Zola in the super soldier program for the U.S.?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of circumstance. I think he's in it more for the survival because someone was like, we're going to use you. It was unfortunate because Erskine had the ability to escape and he probably didn't. And, I think it's more like he's going on because he does get shocked later at like the power that has been bestowed. He eventually, he always seems to be like, he's almost like Shmee to Captain Hook or something. He's always kind of like, well, I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if that's going to work.
Let's do it anyway. Yeah.
He always got a little bit of doubt in him about how far. He always seems shocked about how far Red Skull's willing to go to do some stuff.
I will always picture him now as Schmidt's Schmee.
Yeah. Schmidt's Schmee. That's going to play well for the next 60 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, does his loyalty? I think right away his loyalty and carefulness and patience come through.
His first line: "My machine requires the most delicate calibration." Very. Forgive me if I seem overcautious. Yeah, he's being very meticulous.
As is Erskine, other than our whiskey scene in a little while. But yeah,
right.
Yeah, and you're talking about the science thing. They get into in Winter Soldier. They get into some of the more murky aspects of, the Operation Paperclip, when we kind of gave a lot of Nazi and or Nazi sympathizers a pass, and let them continue their experiments, in the United States for the good of whatever, which will come to bite everybody, at least at S.H.I.E.L.D. in the future. But obviously I think compared to Red Skull, he's not quite as evil, but I think he definitely has intentions and things he wants to accomplish that are not good.
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about that in the next minute as we start hearing kind of some of what he's thinking with some of what they're working on here. Going into the kind of the science of all this, I do love the way that Schmidt kind of throws out the next line that just it's such a written kind of movie line just to kind of get the science out the door. We were doing something scientific, and it's just like, are you certain that those conductors of yours can withstand the energy surge long enough for transference? Whatever the heck that means.
Yeah.
Pete, can you say that in the accent for me, please?
Why would I want to diminish that? It's
but
so
Toby,
perfect.
Toby's over there going, dang it! I can't say that line. Dumb it down for me. Some thespian is brewing over the. You hear about it on what shows always talk about that? Medical shows. Like you hear Clooney talk about all the stuff he had to say in ER. He's like, I have no clue what I said.
Yeah, no idea.
Lathered through it.
That's exactly what it is, because it's like, what are they trying to do here? Well, I guess obviously we know, well, at the very end of this minute, we see, okay, this is that drawer that has the snake under Yggdrasil. I mean, it's been sitting around, I guess, for a year now as they've been trying to figure out what to do with it. But this is the thing that Schmidt had taken from Norway. And here he has it. And we see the drawer. There it is. And now we know, okay, they're doing something that they're going to use the Tesseract for. We know this power, this unlimited power that they seem to, be hoping it's going to provide. And I guess that's kind of where we get with that. We're not exactly sure what they're doing, but it's interesting.
I know it's not in this minute, but because that's how we're introduced to these characters in a sense. I mean, not Zola, but Red Skull. I think this is the thing that makes the MCU tick, is that world building. I mean, you can see a movie right now in theaters that has the town that's introduced in this movie in it. New Asgard is the same place that this all originated from.
Tonsberg, Norway, which actually was in the last film, actually. Thor is where that started. But
no, but I mean, like, you could still make those connect. Like,
connect.
The fact that the worlds are connected, and the fact that Yggdrasil, the world, all that stuff is in there, is those are the little things that help you build a universe that make them more consistent. I think a lot of people go for the home runs right away and try to make these connections with cameos and stuff. These are the bones of connecting a unified universe. So,
I do want to chat a little bit about the images that we have Schmidt looking at here. He's as he talks, he's kind of poring over these images that, I mean, he's obviously had forever. He's got these books here that he just does research on as he's trying to figure out what to do with this cosmic cube, this Tesseract. What I love about these images, it's like, I don't know, there's at least, we see a book, we see a few photos, we see another framed image behind another book, more images. Like, there's tons of stuff that he's obviously doing here, trying to figure out what to do, how to harness this thing. But my favorite is the book that's open. It shows a soldier holding the cosmic cube, and he has a sword in the other hand, and just past him is maybe a dragon that has had its head chopped off, and blood is just pouring out of the stump where the head was. And it's like the strangest little image to have included here. Like, just this is this bloody, dying animal at the foot of the cosmic cube.
I saw a footnote in IMDb trivia where it talked about the actual carving depicts the hero Sigurd helping the smith Regan forge a sword, which Sigurd will use to slay the dragon Fafnir. The Tesseract has been photoshopped in between the two men. That read into any more of the research you guys have been digging in?
It sounds like, Fafnir, why do I know the name Fafnir? I can't remember.
Sounds familiar to me, too.
I'm just reading it to sound smart. You guys have to do the homework on it.
No, I was going to say, this is a condemnation. This is going to really sting, guys. This is coming from me, but you guys are a bunch of nerds.
Here we go. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I think it's funny that you notice the dragon with his head cut off. The first thing I noticed is, why does this open a portal to find a chicken? There's a chicken right above it. What's the chicken about? I don't know. We know, we'll find out later that this Tesseract is the space stone, but it's like, there's all these weird images above, and I guess is it supposed to be like Asgardian imagery? Because there's like a Viking ship, there's a big mountain and stuff. I'm not really sure. There's actually the I can't remember what it's called now, the Triskelion, the image that was like Odin's mark. So, I mean, it clearly has some Norse mythological concepts that they're doing there. But it's I don't know. It's very interesting. And Fafnir, I think, was just I think that might be the dragon that's hanging out in Yggdrasil. I can't remember. We talked about so many Norse things last season.
Yeah, the extension of the note talks about how the Sigurd story is the Norse version of the Siegfried tale, which I know you guys have referenced. So
yeah.
Nerds.
I'm just saying, if a chicken doesn't end up in Quantumania, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
I want that page of that book on a shirt, Pete. We need to put that on a shirt. That is fantastic.
There's some crafty nerd on Etsy who's done it for 13 customers already. Come on.
Right.
Outstanding.
Pete, was that you? Are you that
CraftyNerd.com?
He's like, I got one of every size back here, guys.
Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, there's not much else going on here. We're kind of at this point where they're getting ready to do their experiment. Any other thoughts as to what's going on here from any of you?
Okay, has anybody been to Mount St. Helens?
No, I have not. I'm sorry. That was quick.
No. You haven't. That was you answered so eagerly. You just really want to go?
I studied in school. I really want to go. Yes, it's true.
So this
Dante's Peak took me there. That's it.
Are you looking at my screen?
Yes, we see it.
Yeah.
I am right now. I'm taking this picture inside the theater, and they have just shown a movie about the history of Mount St. Helens. And the next frame I'm going to show you is the power frame, which is right after these red curtains open. Tell me you don't see the evil lair.
Oh, yeah.
These curtains open and the mountain, it's a beautiful, clear day, and we've been hiding behind this glass wall that is Schmidt's Schmee's mountain the whole time, and it is stunning. And the moment we saw that, and we were there in like 2016, but the moment we saw that, I was thinking somebody was here and then made this movie because it looks too good.
Yeah, you were there at 11:57 a.m. on May 30th, 2016.
All right, stopping the screen share.
Yeah.
Way to go.
You
ruined it for everybody.
There's an iCloud fappening leak coming your way. I'm just saying. That's a lot of pictures to have in your drive there, Pete. 11,000. Okay.
Just a few. You'd never know that he's a photographer.
Oh, darn. There it is. Okay.
Secret's out.
All right. Well, I don't know if we have anything else for this minute. We'll save the rest for tomorrow when we get into some science, some mad science, as they might say. Dawn and Will, are you able to join us again tomorrow?
I suppose so.
Yeah, I'll let me check the schedule, but I think I'll be able to make it.
You'll be able to make it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Remind everybody about your podcast and where they can tune in.
Cinephile Hissy Fit Podcast. You can find us on Spotify and Apple and Twitter and Chat Snaps and Book Faces and all those places that all the kids do. Our fax number is 877.
That's the one.
43. I don't know. No. We
72.
are. Yeah, 72. Yes. We're on all the social medias pretty much, and you can reach us there. We can have fun discussions online. I usually post a lot of nonsense. I'm kind of in charge of the social media stuff. Every now and then Don will post something, and then I get mad because I'm like, hey, this is my account. But then I realize we're a team. But no. Yeah, so Instagram, Twitter's probably the best place to catch me because I'll be Facebook a little bit. Just download, subscribe, write a review, whatever. Just do it. This is why Don does this. So there you go.
Well, we will have all of those in the show notes, so you can check there and just click on it. It'll take you right to their sites. So, Pete, as always, thanks for another fun turn on this crazy show.
Science!
Until next time, true believers.
Marvel Movie Minute is a production of True Story FM. Engineering by Andy Nelson. This season's music is Spread the News by Anthony Vega, and this season's show art is by Winston Yabo. Find the show at truestory.fm, and if your podcast app allows ratings and reviews, consider doing that for this show.